KUCR, University of California Creative Technology here at NAMM 2026, the 125th year of NAMM, exposing new products, new makers, and getting things out to the market, advancing the industry, advancing music, and advancing the capacity of musicians to play what they hear in their mind. So we're here with Markus from Mellotron. There's a magic to Mellotron. There's a magic to those sounds, and they obviously have captured people for, how long is it, 70 years? Is that?
Well, since 1965, basically.
That's a long time. And these are, originally they were loops of tape, and previously you've had Mellotron's originals on, look impossible to sustain and maintain. And it's a gift to the world that you've brought that to a digital technology. Could you speak about the original Mellotrons? Are there still some functioning, right?
Yeah. We've been servicing them for many years, since the late 80s, early 90s, and they work with tape, of course. So they have a motor inside to drive the tape, and as long as you have the right motor control and all that to make it work, they work really well, and the tapes hold up for many, many years. I mean, we have Mellotrons that have old tapes from 1968, and they still work and sound fine. So
how many Mellotrons still, the originals, still exist?
The analog Mellotrons are, they're about approximately 500 to 600 still around.
That's very impressive, actually.
Yeah. So, and then I made 100 more of these analog Mellotrons that are called the Mark 6 and the Mark 7, which are double manual ones, that I sold to Smashing Pumpkins and Wilco. They have double manual Mellotrons, so that I made. So but they all had tape frames where you can change out the sounds, because that was kind of the key to those Mellotrons in the 70s, that you could add an infinite number of sounds, basically, because the Mellotron library was so big with so many different sounds that you had Moog sounds. If you wanted a polyphonic Moog, you could have that. There were vibraphones, there were sound effects, and you could have one of the effects was a gong that they dipped in water to lower the frequency, and a bunch of interesting stuff that they made. And then, of course, saxophones, oboes, all those normal sounds of the orchestra, so to say.
So these, I'm just curious, these are so rare now. What might a working Mellotron sell for?
They're not that expensive, but everybody knows that you have to put in a lot of maintenance. You can get a white small Mellotron for like $2,000 if you're lucky, but then you have to probably put in like $2,000-3,000 of maintenance, because the rubber rollers are bad, and the tapes might be bad, and the motor control needs to be changed. So it's a lot of work and maintenance that needs to be put into it. So it's also that the second-hand value isn't that big, because we came out with a digital version that also had a wooden keyboard and that plays the sounds very faithfully, and there you have 100 sounds built into them, and on a standard white Mellotron you only have 3 sounds. So
I'm curious that these are so rare. Are there times when you're one of the world's leading experts on Mellotron?
Yeah.
So did you ever run across one where you said, this one's really good?
Oh yeah. You run into them from time to time. Those that have been in a studio and have been covered with protective cloth or something like that. But of course, then you have those that have been out in a storage unit that there's no climate control, and they're full of rust or some other residue that's come from dust, and one of the worst ones was not a Chamberlin. It was not a Mellotron. It was a Chamberlin. That's a related instrument that Leon Russell had stored in a barn, basically. And
Leon Russell?
Yeah.
Oh, I like him very much.
Yeah, he's great musician, but you wouldn't want to let him store the keyboards for you. So it was all covered in like fine dust. So we had to take the whole thing apart and we'd go through it with like Q-tips and your brushes and everything to remove all that dust, and there was some rust on it. It's a big job.
Well, your gift to the world is taking, I'm assuming you used one of the best sounding ones, as the source
well,
for.
no, we have the master tapes.
Oh,
we have the original master tapes. So on the digital one, you can play the master tapes back with a big old speaker Mellotron or like a 400. We have emulations of all of that in our sound engine. So you can also play them back with a Chamberlain M1 sound, and that is that's a totally different sound from a 400 or a Mark II, for example. So we've taken it a step further, so to say. But that's also because we have all the master tapes for the Chamberlain also. So.
What is the magic of the Mellotron sound? What is the ghost in the machine that makes it sound so appealing? It seems like it's a purely analog experience.
Yeah.
It's all the virtues of analog in it.
Yeah, it's very well made recordings to start with. They had really good musicians that were, you know, playing the instruments, and also good ear of the guys that were recording it, and just having a little vibrato and a little inconsistency in the sounds, and that gives it a lot of personality. We have some sounds that were recorded in the 70s that on a computer screen they look better, much more even and so forth, but they sound more like a synth. So there's just some magic to recording something with a good musician, so to say.
When I've heard your samples and I've played them, the thought comes to me that somebody who has the sensibility of an artist did this. Would you say you've brought your aesthetics and your artistry to the sampling process?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's what we were going for, basically. That we both wanted the sound to be as original as possible and just have it in a really good way, and then also the enclosure, the whole instrument should be appealing and simple to use and not hide all features behind menus and stuff like that. So we try to make something really accessible to play these sounds in the way that they were always been loved, so to say, and that seems to appeal to a lot of people.
So what you have achieved is the transfer of the entire Mellotron library into the as samples, very well done.
Thank you.
Samples into these units. Is that correct?
Yeah, and the Chamberlain sounds also. So that's a related instrument, but it had its own whole library. So that we put that into the machine, but there were many more sounds than you could fit in onto the memory cards. So because we use high quality samples, it's basically wave files. So that's another reason why we sound better than most others, is that we have the full length of the sample, no looping after just a second or so, and then we have wave files and not MP3s. So that contributes to the quality of the sound also, and we use very high quality components. But so we have 100 sounds built into the instruments, but then there were like rhythm loops, and there were other accompaniments, and just tons more of sounds. So we have come out with expansion cards like this that have more sounds from the library also.
So with this and the sample cards, they can have everything.
Yes, exactly. So, and you even with this card, we have the Optigon and the Orchestron and the Chilton Talent Maker also, which is the other way of storing samples. That's on an optical analog disc also. So,
you know, I think about, from time to time, I think about the Mellotron and about how I wanted to ask you the question for more than a year now. That have you ever recorded original recordings in the way that Mellotron originally did, and put them on one of your refurbished Mellotrons, and then how did they sound, and have you created new sounds for your sample?
Well, not that many. We have two sounds that nobody so far has been able to identify. Nobody has said like, oh, this is a new recording. So we just try to make it in the same vein as the old, as the old sounds were recorded. And I've heard a bunch of those recordings and sounds, so we kind of knew how to do it. and then we've also had other artists come in and like Wilco and Blonde Redhead to do their own sounds, and then we sort of mellotronify them and put them into the instrument.
That sounds like a very interesting process. Yeah. Could you tell us about what this is over here?
Yeah, this is the Micro series of instruments, and we have here we have the same user interface, but this has 100 pre-built-in sounds and no expansion possibility. So that's how this platform works. So you have the 100 classic sounds, and that's it. Same thing with this module. It's just the same as the Micro, but it just has no keyboard. So you connect it to MIDI, and you can have any controller and use it with any controller, so to say.
So you say any controller can be used with it.
Yeah.
What was the original? How many keys were on there, and how many octaves in the original Mellotron?
Yeah, it had 3 octaves, also 3 octaves. So that's what. So this is only 2 octaves. So that's why we have an octave switch where you can go to all of the 3 octaves, basically.
If you were to have an 88-key controller, could you actually? So it's limited to the original.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's limited. It's got 37 keys, all of the sounds. So that's what it's set at, so to say. So if you connect this guy to a bigger controller, you get F to F, 37 keys.
You know, I think it's almost a sacred mission to preserve these wonderful instruments, and also it's a gift, I think, for musicians to have you sample them so with such integrity.
Thank you. Yes.
And have them available for artists to use in the sound palette today. Yeah. Just a wonderful thing. So thank you so much, Markus.
Yeah. Thanks so much. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Where can people get more information about Mellotron?
At digitalmellotron.com, and then for the older stuff we have also more at mellotron.com, and we have also an Instagram called Mellotron Factory, and the same thing with Facebook. So check us out there, and you get all the info, and we have a web shop where one can order also. So that's where to get. So digitalmellotron.com.
Thank you very much. KUCR, University of California, Creative Technology, NAMM 2026, here at the Mellotron booth.